Hey guys, welcome to The Bottom Half is Red. I'm your host, Barron and I am excited to bring to you a show that is going to give you some thought-provoking discussions. It's going to give you some expert insights to both encourage and some practical steps for how to build an organization that can more effectively introduce the world to Jesus Christ. So what is The Bottom Half is Red? It's all about building a culture of excellence. It's about growing your unique and creative identity. And it's about carrying out the will of God at any cost. So you're going to see that through practical teaching tips, developing a culture of giving, creating branding and marketing, or even methods to help guests feel safe and welcomed. This podcast is going to have you covered. But before we dive into today's episode, I want to take just a moment and extend a special invitation to all of our dedicated listeners. If you're looking to get even more involved in our community and gain some access to some behind-the-scenes stuff, become a Patreon supporter. And you can find that link in the episode description or even on Patreon. Just visit The Bottom Half is Red. Listen, we can't wait to welcome you on board and to share this exciting journey. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Welcome back to The Bottom Half is Red. We are already having a good time here in studio. All 4 microphones have someone attached to it. We are knee-deep in the faces of culture, and we hope you have enjoyed it so far. Myself, Barron Longstreth, our excellent executive producer, Dave Tanderup, as well as Coy and Deon Anders, which serve here at the church today as our Reach pastors. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is all things Reach ministry. Welcome back to the Faces of Culture.
Pastor Longstreth, the Reach department is a name that we've given to an organization and the department, but it's not one that's typically used in other churches. So can you break down and explain to us what exactly the Reach department is?
Yeah. So you would typically think in terms of like your outreach department. So probably a lot of similarities there. This probably is not for every church. And we'll just put that disclaimer out there. But when we established the culture here at the church today, about 17 years ago, I have a big conviction about outreach not being departmentalized. It's got to be a lifestyle. So when you're, reaching the lost, which is essentially what the Reach ministry is it's the hand of the church today to reach the lost. So hence Reach ministry. We made the decision to not call it outreach because, and again, I hope this is not just a play on words. It really wasn't when we were devising it out. We did not want Saturday morning to be the only time the church today thought about outreach. And so the extension of what we were doing here at the church today was really every department really is reaching. And so how we settled that is we said, okay, we're going to combine the Reach department really to the majority of our outreach endeavors, quote unquote, but it would also be an opportunity for us not to have to separate those that walk inside the church as well. So the Reach department really for the church today is what we do to impact our community around us as well as the community that comes in and experiences us. So Reach for us can be out as well as in. So instead of saying, hey, we have an in-reach department / then we have an outreach department, here we have a Reach department. So anybody that we're trying to essentially touch or reach for is filtered through this department. So we try not to just do, hey, we have outreach Saturday morning from 9 to 11, and then people will just check that off the list and they never have to think about outreach again. So for us, it was like, nope, let's attach the reach of the church to every department, let it affect every department, let it be led by people that really have a drive for touching the lost, but also, man, when they come in, let's not separate that ministry. So reach for us is out and in.
I love that differentiation between the out and the in, because our entire paradigm is defined linguistically in the way that we look at the world. So when we say something like outreach, that gives us this view of externally reaching. And so then we have a tendency to forget about those community and that friends that have come inside, but they still need to be reached.
Right.
And so by eliminating the out, it's not just semantics. It's saying, no, we're reaching for those people that are inside, as well as those people who are external that we want to be part of our community. So Coy and Deon, you guys are the pastors for the Reach Ministry. Can you tell us about what roles and responsibilities you have as the Reach pastors?
Well, one of our roles and responsibility is, as Pastor said, we have a obligation to the outside as well as the inside. And I know we're involved in a lot of community, I guess would say services to help those on the outside. We've given to several of our schools to, we've put together, gift packages or, things, assets that they need that they don't really have. And our church has supplied those. We've supplied packages, gift packages, baskets, just showing support for our fire departments, our police departments. And this is one way I feel that is good to reach, to let people know that you have a church that just cares for them and cares for their contributions to our community, and also we apply that to reaching, going out, knocking on doors, inviting people to church, and inviting them to come worship with us.
Included in that is teachers as well.
Yeah.
So we just recently, one of the schools that our church tries to sponsor, if you will, they reached out and said that they had started a program for their students. It was called the Garden Club. And it's basically, if students are having a bad day, having a lot of stuff going on at home, they don't want to come to class, this Garden Club encourages them to come to class, because then as a perk, you can go work out in the garden. And this school is like, these students need all the support that they can get.
Yeah.
So she reached out and said, we don't have any of our garden supplies that we would need. So that's one of the things that we just recently, like last week before, we took a load of supplies to them. We also give them snacks because, again, they need support. And some of the students actually came and helped us carry stuff in, and they were so, like you could just tell, they were so excited, so grateful. And I mean, it was just such a great feeling to see that we're able to help.
Yeah.
And hopefully by doing that, eventually they'll remember, hey, that's the church that helped us. And I'm hoping that this future coming year that we're going to actually be able to reach a little bit more for those students.
There's an interesting thing that, your primary reason for existence, right? So you look at what your primary reason for existence, like, why are we a church body? So, like, we all understand the gospel, the discipling of people, those kinds of, they're cookie cutter kind of concepts, right? So yes, we can give those typical answers and those would all be true. They'd be right. But the existence of a church in a local community, that's entirely something that is, could be exclusive. We've been in the community that we're in for a little over 6 years now, and we're just beginning to really make a dent in terms of seeing some positive things in the community. And so you could turn over them all over in your head. Are we reaching? Are we reaching? Are we reaching? Are we doing what we're supposed to ultimately be doing? But what a department like this does is it allows us to be a community church. Mm-hmm. And what I want is when they think, like, where would we go to vote?
Right.
Mm-hmm. It would be the church today. Mm-hmm. Where would we go for, our annual, trunk or treat? Mm-hmm. It would be the church today. Where would our teachers go to get garden supplies? It would be the church today. Baskets, the church today. The church today. The church today. Everything is about the church today.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, do we do everything? No. Do we do everything perfect? No. But our desire is no matter if they're ultimately making the decision, they're going to think this direction no matter what.
Right.
That's what we want. And so we want to be a city set on a hill, that light that can't be denied. No matter if they come up through the gates, walk in through the door, walk up to an altar, give their life to Jesus Christ, go down in the waters of baptism, right? If they never make that trot, at least they'll say, well, there was light right there. There was light right there. And one of the things that, an overlooked principle is we think in terms of social, like everything is social. Like, okay, we're giving. But what we're doing in essence in this reach department, what you guys are like tip of the spear of in our church is you're giving an apostolic witness in our city. Like that's an apostolic witness. And that's what we're really trying for, is to be an apostolic witness in our city.
Correct.
Right.
And going back to the whole, I kind of highlighted the outreach part of it. As far as the in-reach product, I feel as leaders we need to be an example and teach, train our service teams that greet, that open our front door, that open the front doors for people that are maybe first-time visitors or for people that are here all the time, that you're the first person they see coming through that door. That's who they're going to remember. Your actions and your hospitality to them, your recognition of them, finding something good to say about them when they walk through those doors. Those are things that they're going to remember. And so that's what you want to impress upon the people that you're leading, and as well as you do yourself, and to just let them know that they are welcomed and wanted here. And also, it goes for the people coming in, maybe as a first-time, guest. But I try to instill with people, when they get a person's name, try to remember that name, because you'd be surprised when they come back and you say, oh, Brother Joe, and I've had several people, oh, you remember my name. And it's just, and that impresses people when you do that, and that lets them know that you care more than just hey, we're glad you're here. It's just you've taken an interest in that person to remember their name. And so that's, as leaders, we try to instill within our service team, try to get people's name, recognize them, get a first name basis with them, and when they come back again, try to say their name, because people, they enjoy that. And also, we're reaching for people that's already here. I mean, that we want to get connected, and not just the people outside, people first time coming through our doors, but people that's been coming here for years, and maybe they just haven't found their little niche or whatever. As leaders, also, we're wanting to get them connected, that they can be part of this great journey that we're on.
So we have two phrases that define our personality. The first one is the will of God at any cost. Okay, that's the question that was asked of Jesus, what's the greatest commandment? And that is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. So we define that in the action of the will of God at any cost. But Jesus says the second is like as unto the first, to love thy neighbor as thyself. And we established three words. Really, it was just a card by Raina. We had an episode in our first season about this. But that card was, hey, you matter. And that hey, you matter has become almost a centralized heartbeat to what we do, why we do it, and how we do the things that we do. And those words are more than just a catchphrase that we put on a shirt. It's the lifeblood. Mm-hmm. You matter. Action. It's an action. And so the way that you, in that reach department, help shape, refine, and really keep the integrity of Hey You Matter is through the reach department. Mm-hmm. So the reach department really helps us keep the Hey You Matter. So describe some ways that we portray in reach, service team, outreach, the extension of that team, some ways that you're helping define that, hey, you matter within the church today.
Well, one of the things that comes to mind is just, hopefully I'm answering the question. We follow up. So every visitor that comes to church, we do a follow-up texting, hey, Priscilla, it was so good to have you at church Sunday and your family. if there's any questions, we would love to see you again. You know, I'm saying it all botched, but it flows, and it's like, it was so good to have you in our service. We hope to see you again. If you have any questions, here I am. Contact
How many days out do you
I
send?
try to do it within 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, you don't want to drown them.
No.
But if you let it go too far, then it
Right.
sounds like it's almost automated. What I like about the reach department is we have an automated kind of system. A letter goes out, things of that nature. But that personalized touch, that's like, hey, listen, you gave us your contact. We're not going to misuse it. But
Right.
I'm reaching out to let you know how much I appreciated you. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And there's a personal touch that you guys have with individuals.
Yeah. And so a lot of times, there's actually one in mind. They haven't been back due to work schedules, stuff like that, but they will still keep in contact, and we'll talk, and they'll have prayer requests, and so it's just like you said, that personal touch of, hey, you matter, like we care about you. It was so good to have you, and then follow up. Like, say if they do come back, follow up again. Like if it's been a while, you follow back up. Say, hey, just had you on my mind. Wanted to check on you, see if you're doing okay. So it's just really making that personal connection with the people. And then I would say, even I'm trying to be better at this, of people that are part of the church regularly, trying to check on them. If it's been a few weeks, follow up and check on, because, we really need to think about our body as well.
Yeah.
Not just focusing on the visitor. Basically.
Also on that, the hey, you matter, when a person comes in, maybe for the first time, might be their second or third time, make them feel that you're excited. And I mean, I noticed one thing is just when they come in, when you compliment them, compliment their children. If they've got children, get their children's names. And and make their children feel important too, because it's so important that when adults have children and they're made connection with, but then their children aren't, then it kind of feels, I think they feel like, okay, they're more concerned about me than they are the children. But you make those children feel as just as welcomed as you do the adult, and I'm telling you, it does give them a feeling that, okay, I matter here. My family, not just me, but my family matters here, and that's another way of promoting the culture of TCT.
As a parent, I care more about how you treat my children than I care about how you treat me.
Exactly.
So I had an experience at a car dealership, and there was just a little touch that they did after the fact. My girls had come with me to do part of like the purchasing the car, but they weren't there for the pickup. Well, the salesman that had been working with us comes out and hands me 2 model cars. He's like, these are for your girls. He remembered the fact that I had brought the girls with me.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, you win. You win. you
Exactly.
You tell me what you want in your review. You tell me, like, give me all the keywords that you want. Like, I'll write you the best review you've because you remembered my children.
Right.
And you showed me that it wasn't just me spending tens of thousands of dollars on this car.
Yeah.
But you took the time to notice my children.
Exactly.
So the personal connections, being passionate about the person being there, seeing their children, noticing their children, prioritizing them if they are there. Can you give us any other critical elements that make that reach ministry successful?
And just loving on people, letting them feel love. I mean, that, sometimes, especially after the whole COVID thing, you didn't know if people wanted a hug. But it's amazing the people that actually do want a hug and they need a hug. And I'm not saying everybody wants a hug, but, and just letting them really feel that sincere love that you have for them, even though you don't know them, but you do love them. And I think they can feel that with our church when they walk in. And I feel like that's a culture that Pastor and Sister Raina have probably really drove into this church, been an example of, and it's carried over. But just love.
I want to add that, there's so much, but I'm trying to stay on subject. But it's something that can be so easily overlooked, because we're talking about the heart of the ministry right now. I mean, everything that we're talking about, kids love, hugs, making sure that people are taken care of, how they feel, that's the heart of the ministry. If you walked into the church, you can't get on the grounds and you realize, okay, there's a lot of work that has gone into making this place feel like, oh man, we've been ready for you.
Yeah.
I mean, like we take, of course, you got certain seasons where all of a sudden overnight weeds are there. You're like, where in the world do these come from? But so Jude and I are picking weeds the other day and we're picking them together. And I'm like, Jude, get that. And we're racing. It's the windstorm of Oklahoma 2025. We're picking weeds. It's flying everywhere. Dirt's flying in our face. And he's like, what are we doing? And I said, you know what we're doing? He's like, no. I said, we're making people know that they matter.
Right.
He's like, let's make them know, And so we're just picking all this stuff, throwing it, because like, they matter enough to be specific about the critical things that might be overlooked. But who wants to walk in with weeds everywhere? Who wants to walk in and drive in the parking lot? Places in parking lot, they might not be perfect, and tree limbs that are kind of hanging because of okay, so there's things that you can't take account for, but the things that you can,
right?
Can you do it?
There's
you do
no
it right?
Trash in the parking lot,
right? Do it right. Like make sure it's done right, and so you can't stay on top of everything at all times, but everything that you can stay on top of it to the best of your ability. You walk into the church and you're greeted both doors. Boom, they're open for you. What they don't know is we care so much about you that these doors stay locked 24/7.
Exactly.
They're never unlocked.
Never.
You're in this building because we want you in this building. Now, they don't know that, but the moment the door shuts, it's safety. Like that's our care. That's a part of the way that we want.
Yeah.
You might not even know what we're doing, but we're taking care of you. You know what I mean? They're coming to the first set of doors. They're getting greeted. You guys have a meeting every Sunday morning and you're laying things out. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. Put on your game face. Come on, let's go out there. Let's pray together.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Right.
And you're saying, hey, you might have had a bad day. You might have woke up and kids, whatever. But here, we're going to join together. We're going to pray. We're all going to go out there. And you two lead by example. You guys are, every time I walk in, if I'm going out like this morning, I went out and got our evangelist, came back in. And when I came back in, it was like, hey, Pastor, how you doing? And everything was just, and I don't care if you're an introvert, an extrovert. I don't care if you're if you're a color kind of person, if you're a blue, gold, green, or, you know what I mean? Or orange. It doesn't matter who you are. Like everybody wants to feel.
Right. Exactly.
And if we can get them to know, like we're not putting on a show. So what I'm saying, what I wanted to say is we've got a system. It's front door. Then you're greeted again. Then you're escorted over to the coffee area if you want that. Then you're escorted up to the center of our church where in our foyer we've got a center foyer, and then that's where the kids are checked in. And the kids check-in process takes a moment. But you know why it takes a moment? Because we care enough about their kids to say you're safe here.
Right.
Then we escort them into the classroom, and no one else is allowed to go in the classroom but the teachers that are background checked. Do they know their background check? Probably not. But you know why we do that? Because they matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but what I'm saying is yeah, we got a system. But if they walk through the gauntlet of our church system and walk out of the building without the center heart of saying, we want you here, we love you, you know what I mean? This is not just about a presentation, lights and clockwork. This is because we genuinely care about you.
Right.
And that I don't want the system to fail, but the system breathes and has life to it because the heartbeat of what you guys are doing in Reach Ministry. We can't save the entire world, but we can make one person walk in and we can make them feel like they are the center of our world. And that's what you guys have done.
So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
So we've talked about a lot of the good things that happen. Shift a little bit to what are some of the challenges that come up leading the Reach department and making people feel like they matter?
Well, I will say one of the challenges as far as location has been we're in the center of the Spanish community, and so the language barrier. So then with that, you have ideas of things that you think you could do in the community, but if you can't speak their language, that kind of puts a little hiccup in it. But thankfully, our pastor has seen. And so now we have Spanish classes going on, and hopefully we can break that language barrier soon. So that would be one of the challenges. The other challenge, this is just for me, really wanting to get out there in the community and do things to be more community. We're used to working in a smaller town, so doing a metro type, Tulsa Metro, has been a little bit challenging. And you want to do things that are God-given. You don't want to just be doing stuff that you see someone else do, or, that's what I know we both pray. It's like, God, give us the things that you want TCT to do. That would be some of those types of challenges. And then if you want other challenges, I could give it to you.
List them off. Getting people to confirm their attendance.
Yeah. We already had that discussion earlier. Just when you're trying to get people scheduled, it can be a challenge when they
don't read the scheduling.
When they don't read the scheduling and they don't accept or decline.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir right here.
Yeah. And then also another challenge too is getting them to be on time for prayer. We have to, we've had prayer at 9:20 ever since we've taken this practically. And, so you'll send out she'll send out on Saturday, she sends out, everybody's, position, what they're going to be, serving in. And, and sometimes I don't do it every week, but sometimes I'll get it on there. Hey, reminder, 9:20, let's meet in the growth track room for prayer. And inevitably you've got one or two, sometimes three dragging in at 9:25, or some of the time we've already prayed and already gotten our positions as they come. So that's kind of a challenge, keeping people punctual on, and I try to, when we're in there, I try to, emphasize the importance of their role and, how important it is to be at their stations on time, be in here for prayer, because I tell you, we've had some prayers in there that have just been
awesome.
I mean, it's just God has just come in and you don't want to stop. I mean, you just want to keep praying because it's just, but we realize we got, positions we need to be in and jobs to do.
Dion's looking at me because on Wednesday I was talking to Billy like right before service, and she comes up and she's like, "Are one of you guys out on the door?" And I've never been on the door on Wednesday. Like, I've never been assigned to it or whatever. And we both were like, no. She looks in her phone and holds it up, and it's got my name pending. I never saw.
And it says pending.
I never saw the request. I never any of that stuff. And I felt so low.
Oh, no.
I felt terrible. I'm like, nope, I need to do better.
But that's not who we have some that habitually do this all the time, and it's just like, we're working with them, and that's part of being leadership. You work with them, be patient. And
I send out individual texts with a screenshot of their pending notice. Are you able to fulfill this position? I need to know.
That's so tough too, because it's not like somebody's employed. You can't be like, it's all volunteer, and so
yeah, exactly.
You can't be like, I'm gonna fire you.
No.
If you're fired.
No, we have a running joke when somebody says, "Well, I guess you could fire me." I always say the same thing over and over again. I said, "No, you're not going to get fired. You're going to get promoted." I promise you, you get promoted, you're going to stick to your plan now,
brother.
The beauty of having something. Down one hallway, there is 4 words, and these 4 words really kind of define the way that we give, right? And it's time, talent, treasure, and truth. Those are the 4 words that really kind of, it's like, how do you define giving? Time, give of your time, give of your talent, give of your treasure, give of your truth. But those 4 words that define how we give are oftentimes the 4 greatest hurdles that you have to
sacrifices.
Yeah, you have to jump over, and I want to reach the world, but you only have so much time. I want to reach the world, but you only have so much talent.
Right.
You only have so much money, and all the truth is what we have, but the being able to give that away is, and so like what you said, having the truth and then living in, existing as a church body in the Hispanic district, it's like, I can't give, you know. And so, so trying, the reach ministry is such an important ministry in any church, however you define it. But being able to give that away and knowing that the season is upon us, it's tough.
Yeah.
Because that's what, look into the fields. Like that, this is what we do.
Right.
Like every department, the challenge of every department. That's why our theme is what it is this year, is to get people to say, listen, don't just, it was Dr. Lightfoot that said, don't just, I think, was it Colossians 3:2, 2:3, whatever, set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth. But it was Dr. Lightfoot that said, don't just seek heaven, think heaven. Bring heaven down into your day. Like, look at a person and say, Jesus, can I reach them? You know what I mean? Can I touch their life? And like what you're doing, Deon, and saying, it's been a while since I've connected with so-and-so. How can I bless them today? That's reach. Right. That is us reaching out to one another.
My dad, he's never met a stranger, and you go to the store with him and he would talk to everybody, and by the end of the conversation they've had a small little Bible study, but they all loved him, like everyone always. And one time, especially like as a teenager, you get a little bit frustrated and embarrassed. But I asked him, why is it you feel like you have to talk to everybody? And it was basically because I look at a person, and if they were headed down a road that was a drop off of a cliff, would I talk to them and warn them and try to stop them? So that's kind of how, on the whole reach thing, you look at the community and you look at people. You go to the store, you go anywhere, and it's just a burden because there's so many people that are...
We're all destined for
Yeah.
eternity.
And what a great point. They're all destined for eternity. We are all destined for eternity. I love what Vicki Vernon said. She really helped me because the weight of reach, just on a pastor, it just always...
True.
It's just so much. It's that spiritual gravity that just keeps forcing down upon you, and you just feel it, like even in your own people, those could be somebody that you dedicated and now that's headed off to college, I mean, that's there for me, almost 2 decades of pastoring now. And it's like, man, I'm dedicating these kids, and now I'm getting ready to, see them head off in their cheap cars to some college somewhere, and, the weight of, oh man, it's so heavy upon you. But she really helped me. She said, don't think yourself so important that God would put somebody's eternity all upon you.
It's true.
Don't think yourself. Don't think that he would put their eternity and weigh it upon one individual.
Person. Wow.
But don't think yourself less important or be so naive not to think that God did not place you in their life to impact their eternity. Them. And so, by definition, the reach is one text, one call, one how you doing, one. I'm in a store the other day, and this guy is trying to get his card to work. He's got like a $20 purchase. He can't get his card to work. He pulls out another card, and he's trying to get his car to work. You might want to say that if it's that important. And tries to get his car to work and can't get his card to work. And I said, hey, put that on mine. And guy looked at me. I said, put that on mine. I said, bro, I want to tell you matter, man.
Yeah.
You matter.
He'll never
He's like, bro,
forget
thank
that.
you. I said, no, bro, you matter. I got you. I said, let him go. My card works, I promise. And I paid. And I didn't say, bro, I want to give you a Bible study. Let me give you a Bible study.
Right.
But you know what I wanted to do? Just be a light.
Be a light.
So how can we impact? And we all have stories like that. That's just one of hundreds of stories.
Oh, well, it
Dave
goes
knows
back,
I can talk forever.
Well, it goes back to the whole reaching people and stuff. And I don't know if this even goes with what we're talking about, but like giving Bible studies and trying to disciple new babes and stuff. And then you do it for a while, and then they are gone or whatever. But anyway, this came across, and it says your job is to plant the seed, not change their heart.
That's good.
Don't get your role and God's role mixed up. And so that's just, we got to plant the seed. But
The Bible says the sower went out to sow. He did not, ready? He did not worry about the elements of the soil.
No, he didn't. He just threw it out
He
there.
just threw it out there.
Threw it out there.
And some, and some, and some, and others. Some land, some land, some land, others will land. Only one lands in a fruitful spot, but that fruit, 30, 60, and 100-fold. So we think, oh, I got to change. How can I affect? I got weeds. Just sow. And then some plant, some water, and God is the one. Yeah.
Right.
So you know what Paul's saying there? He's not saying don't plant, and he's not saying don't water. He's saying God will give the increase. So it's God's job to really give increase. But your job is to plant and sow. But you can't make it grow. But it doesn't mean you don't do what you're supposed to be doing. He'll make it grow. That's reach.
Right.
Reach is, can we make it grow? No. But okay. But when they walk through the door,
We can help.
we're going to plant love,
Right.
or we're going to water the seeds that have already been planted. Right? We have terminology here. We have first-time friends. We have second-time friends. We call them first and returning. So if they're first, they're going to feel. If they're returning, they're going to feel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what you guys do. And that, I tell you, the older I get, the more I realize you got to have a system. You got to have policies, and you got to have procedures.
It's true.
You got to have them. I mean, you just got to have them. And it would drive you nuts if you don't. But all of that, you can feel like you're walking down the hallway of a hospital. It can be vanilla and murals on the wall, or however you say that word. I always
Ugly
mess it.
murals.
Yeah, ugly ancient ones. And you can feel like panic walking to a room, right? I rolled down knowing that they were getting ready to have surgery on my knee, and they were going to fix it. My knee was going to get fixed. It was the absolute worst experience of my life. You're rolling down. There's people on their phones getting ready to go into surgery. You're going to have a 4-hour surgery. Dudes are on their phone or playing Candy Crush or whatever, and they're just chill,
Aren't they?
But it's a sterile environment. It was cold. Everybody's just, the system was there. Pop, 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 pop. And it wasn't until the anesthesiologist, you ready for the story? It wasn't for the anesthesiologist. I think it would have been one of the worst experiences. And I'm laying on a table, and I'm like, I'm all alone. I feel all alone. I willfully came. I'm willfully getting ready to have a major part of my body messed with. And I'm laying on a table, going down this white hallway where everybody's in their business, doing their stuff. And I'm laying there, and the anesthesiologist comes up and goes, man, Longstreth. He said, you must have terrible insurance. I said, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, well, why is that? And he goes, because you wouldn't have got me if you would have had good insurance. And that's exactly what I did. I started laughing. And he's got his mask on, and I start laughing. And he goes, I tell you what, Barron. No, he wouldn't call me Barron. He goes, I tell you what, Longstreth, which I thought was weird because my name's right there. And he goes, I'll tell you what, Longstreth. He said, we're going to take really good care of you. I said, you are? He said, by the time I get these words out, you'll already be
Gone.
You ready? I never knew who that anesthesiologist was. Never. That surgery was in February. In July is our annual camp meeting. And I'm in the camp meeting, and I got a guy that walks up to me, and he goes, Pastor Longstreth. And I turned around, and I said his name and who he was. And he said, how's your shoulder doing? I said, it's doing fantastic. And he's like, I was wondering how long the recovery process would be. I said, bro, I didn't have a shoulder done. I had my knee done. He was like, that's right. You did have your knee done. And I was like, man, that's a weird conversation. And he goes, how's your knee doing? I said, it's great. I said, recovery's going. He said, I told you that we would take good care of you.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. It
So
wasn't
awesome.
until an apostolic man walked up to me and said,
My.
we're going to take good care of you. And that was my anesthesiologist. It was a cool,
That's
it was a really cool story.
awesome.
But what I'm saying is like the power of somebody saying, hey, listen, all of this right here is about you. Like, it's about you. But it wasn't until that relationship that I really felt
That
it.
you felt it. Right.
I knew it was all about me, but it wasn't until he connected, like that relational aspect, that I was like, I felt good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, how has being the Reach leaders impacted your personal and your spiritual lives?
Personally, I think it's helped me connect with people a little more easier. And I've always been an extrovert, and I haven't really had a time. But it's just like, I think with being the Reach pastor, I feel it's more of a challenge and more of a calling, I should say, maybe more of a calling to make that connection. And so that has helped me in other areas of my work, just meeting somebody somewhere, talking to them, and I think that's helped. And spiritually, it has elevated me to a position where I feel that I need to be held on a higher level as far as responsibility, because now I'm leading others, and I need to really check myself spiritually to make sure that I need to be where I'm supposed to be, so then I can help lead others into their positions correctly and divinely.
For me, personally, it would probably kind of the same thing, like just making sure that you're interacting with everyone instead of just like kind of the people in your area. Spiritually, it would be, yes, you feel like you need to be, like he said, held at a higher standard, and also your focus and prayers are really more about other people and not your personal.
Selfless.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a good word for it.
Keeps coming up over and over and over. Mm-hmm. Every single one of these faces of culture, there's been an aspect of selflessness that comes in. If you're going to effectively be part of the kingdom, if you're going to effectively impact culture, you have to be selfless. Mm-hmm. We've done 6 or 7 of these. I don't know. 6, 7, 5. Now I'm going to insert the correct number, and and then it's going to be right there, and I'm going to be like, "You have the exact count."
Better say 8,
just in case.
1, 2,
there you go.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But that's been the recurring theme, has been selflessness. It doesn't matter if you're a senior pastor, it doesn't matter if you're the worship leader, it doesn't matter if you're the reach pastor, it doesn't matter if you're the guy that's cleaning out the trash bins. It's selflessness. What advice would you guys give to somebody who's looking to become involved in the reach ministry or assume the roles and responsibilities of a reach pastor? What do you wish you had known?
I really can't think of anything. Of anything I wish I would have known. I think one of the things is if you start, you have to stay focused, and don't let yourself get burned out.
I would say don't be fake.
Yeah. Be
genuine, because people can spot fakeness, and when you learn to love genuinely, don't just, hey, we're glad you're here, and and then they walk off, and you're just like, oh, where, blah blah blah, but learn to be real with people, because like I said, people, they can spot fakeness a mile away, and if you're just there with a big smile on your face and they don't feel it coming from you, then it's just you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
I would say if you don't have a burden for the lost and you don't have a genuine love for people, then it's probably maybe not the position that you should maybe be in.
Probably need to go to the altar and get some Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because what you guys are doing is a formalized version of the obligation that every single one of us Christians have. Every single church member has an obligation to reach outside of the congregation, and we have an obligation to reach inside of the congregation and connect people and be genuine to everybody. And if we're not doing those things, then we are failing as Christians.
It's true.
And so, yes, you guys bear the leadership burden of being the reach pastors and doing the formal system. But if somebody, I don't think that you can actually be a good Christian and attend a church and not be able to step into a reach ministry. Maybe not be the leader, but if you can't step into a reach position, you're probably not doing Christian correctly.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Bottom Half is Red. Listen, I hope you have enjoyed your time with us today and gained something of value. If you love what you heard today, please do not forget to subscribe to our podcast. and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. This helps us. Your feedback is incredibly crucial, and we want to improve on what we're doing and to bring you the best content possible. You can find us on Facebook, look us up, Instagram, even YouTube at The Bottom Half is Red. Hey, be sure to check the episode description for any links to any resources that we have mentioned during the show. You don't want to miss out. This podcast is a production of The Church Today here in the great city of Tulsa, and the executive producer is our very own David Tandera. I hope you've had a fantastic time, and we look forward to having you with us again on our next episode of The Bottom Half is Red. We'll see you then.